Well, one of the down ballot races for this election is mayor of Mclendon-Chisholm, and we happen to have the conservative that's running, Val Bodart, on this special edition. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is the Bunker Bob Show. Yes, good afternoon, and it is great to be back with you again. Today we have another candidate running for office. I hope that you've had the chance to watch the school board race, the interview with those candidates. But today is a special treat because right here in Mclendon-Chisholm, where I live, is the candidate Val Bodart, who is running for mayor. Val, it's great to have you here today.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, I always think it's a brave thing of people to come and into the bunker and talk to me, because I talk straight with people, and sometimes it's not always the nicest conversations. But I think today we'll have a very nice conversation, don't you?
I do.
You know, we see each other a lot, and the reason why is because I attend a lot of the city council meetings. I actually broadcast them, and you're at every city council meeting that I've ever attended. You're at most all of them. You've actually, what's interesting about Val is that she actually attends more city council meetings than the current mayor, Keith Short. In fact, the last three meetings, last meeting, Mayor Short did not attend. The two meetings prior to that, he came in very late. I'm talking about at the very end of the meeting where he missed 90% of the meeting. And the point that I think, regardless of where he stands, the fact that he's a liberal is one issue that I have with him. But one of the bigger issues, frankly, is that he just doesn't show up. He's not in. He has a new job in Sunnyvale, and that job has taken him away from his duties as mayor, and yet he's still running. If someone had integrity, he would say, look, this job, I've got a job that pays me money. The mayoral race, you don't get any, you're not paid for that. And so if he had integrity, he would say, look, I can't do it. But he's not going to do that, because he believes that the only thing that matters is being in office. And Val Bodart is very different in that way, because it's not just about being in office for Val. It is about actually doing something for the community that really helps the community, which I think is really important. So before we get into the issues that I'd like to talk about, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that you are a former military, but your husband's also former military too, correct?
And my father. And
your father. Okay, very good. So were you a military brat?
I was.
Okay.
A military brat, then a military wife, then an airman.
Wow, fantastic. So how long have you lived here in Mclendon-Chisholm?
In Mclendon-Chisholm, we moved here in 2015.
Okay, very good. And what do you like? You're in Chisholm Crossing 4, right?
Right.
And you're as stupid as I am, by the way, because we're both HOA presidents, right?
Oh yeah. Really stupid.
If you want people to dislike you sometime, I mean, best way to do it. And so tell us a little bit about what do you like best about Mclendon-Chisholm, and maybe even your community.
I remember the first time I ever drove through Mclendon-Chisholm when we first moved to Texas, and I look back on it, and where my house is standing now, there used to be cows, and I love that. I mean, not that the cows are gone, but that I can still see cows when I leave home. On my way to Terrell, on my way to Rockwall, there's still open country, and that's why we moved there. We wanted some space. We wanted some freedom. We want to be able to see the stars at night, hear the coyotes howl, all of that. And we still have that, and I want to keep it.
Well, fantastic. I think that most people who move to Mclendon-Chisholm have that intent, unless, they're save some of the Sonoma Verde folks. I mean, because they like the multiple houses, and what do you like best about your neighborhood, since you're HOA president?
We have really good neighbors. We've enjoyed living there. We moved in when there were just very few houses, so we were able to watch the roads go in, and we're near the entrance, so we really got to see all the roads go in, all the houses being built, and people moving in. And we have really enjoyed the experience of watching our little bitty community grow, because it's a closed community. I mean, it's not going to get any bigger. It's 72 houses, so that's it.
Yep.
And on 1 acre plus a little bit, so those are our neighbors, and that's who we get to bond with.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, why did you get interested and get involved in politics? And before we go there, I do want to highlight a couple of things that we don't just know each other from seeing you at city council meetings. I also you were at the Republican Precinct Convention, Republican County Convention, Republican State Convention. You were a state delegate to the Republican Party. I mean, you're not a Republican in name only. You are someone who has been actively involved in party politics, Republican politics. So you don't just kind of say, well, I'm a Republican, that kind of thing. You actually are an activist. So why did you get involved in not just party politics, but politics in Mclendon-Chisholm?
I think Mclendon-Chisholm is in a very special place right now, where we're kind of at the precipice of, do we grow or do we not? In which direction do we grow or do we not? And I want to be a part of that. I want to watch it grow. I want to help the community come together and make good decisions for our future.
Yeah, control the growth, I guess, is the
control the growth
is the issue. And so you are a member of the Board of Adjustments as well for the city. So one of the things that was interesting when I was talking with the RISD candidates is both of them are a little unusual, because both Gober and Hilton are a little bit unusual because they attend RISD meetings. There's not many people that come to those Mclendon-Chisholm meetings. Why did you start coming to those meetings? What prompted that? And I don't even know if you have an answer to that.
Well, it started with the HOA, really.
Okay.
There started to be an issue with some property that was adjacent to us, and there was an issue with who was going to own it and what was going to be done with it. So I ended up going to a planning and zoning meeting. Then it just followed into going to city council meetings, and then I was hooked.
Wow.
Never in my life was I ever interested in anything like that. Didn't even know really how it worked, but I have learned so much and I've enjoyed it.
Wow. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you are. One of the issues for me with the city is the lack of transparency. And are you seeing that as well? And if so, or what are you seeing, I guess is the best way to put it. And then what would you do to help improve the transparency of our government?
There's definitely an issue with transparency, and I noticed that from the beginning. Not knowing a lot about city government, I still felt it. I noticed it. One of the major things that baffled me as a newcomer was the amount of executive sessions that they have.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. I mean, there was one meeting where they spent a couple of hours in executive session, and then came out and said, we have nothing to say.
Exactly. And it's very frustrating for someone who sits there the whole time or sits at home and watches the broadcast of it, and then nothing happens. You don't know, was that meeting even worth it?
Right.
And another thing, I don't think that they come prepared enough to be able to discuss it.
Yeah, I would argue that the mayor is certainly guilty of that. That's my opinion. Mayor Short, he is, in my opinion, the mayor of Mclendon-Chisholm right now is an empty suit. The city staff runs everything, and so it kind of dovetails, since we're talking about city staff. All right. So there's been an issue recently, a code enforcement officer.
Yes.
And you came up with a proposal that I thought was pretty ingenious. So, what was the city basically? Let's put it this way: it was Keith Short who basically wanted a code enforcement officer added to the staff. So you get the salary, and that code enforcement officer is also going to get a vehicle. So you're adding government people to government. Okay, so this is people are the most expensive part of any government, period. So we're adding a new staff member. That staff member is supposed to also mow the grass. That was the other thing. And so you came up with something that I thought was pretty ingenious. So what was your proposal?
I proposed to take that money that they were budgeting for that separate code officer and truck and all of that, and move that money to other things, but instead let the fire chief do the code enforcement. There's not that much going on
because
right
he's
now.
currently the code enforcement officer.
He is, and he's trained. He
trained
knows
to do
what
that.
He's doing. He's
Yes.
willing to do it.
Yes.
He loves it. And then let the fire department staff do all of the maintenance, the yard work. It's expanding. We're getting a brand new fire department.
Yeah.
We're going to have more grounds to cover.
Yes.
And to use that money to also buy good equipment to do that with, good mowers, good trimmers, whatever it takes.
You know what was interesting about that whole vote with the code enforcement officer is it was Keith Short who proposed it, Mayor Short. Mm-hmm. He basically called for the vote, and it only got one vote, and so he stopped the vote and then started berating the members of council.
Yeah,
you were there,
yeah.
and so then the council said, "Oh, okay," and then they passed it because he was so ticked off that they didn't follow his lead on that. Yeah. Pretty intimidating.
It is. Strong arming your council is probably not the best way to lead.
No, I don't think so either. And so they passed it, and they moved forward with that. And then in the budget, they approved it in the budget. What I found fascinating is that Lorna Kippett said that she doesn't think that she doesn't want the fire department mowing the grass. They need to be focused on training. And this is someone who knows clearly, hasn't a clue what she's talking about, because first of all, our fire department sees roughly one call per day, and some of those calls aren't even inside the city of Mclendon-Chisholm, which is an even bigger issue because half of all the calls to the fire department are outside of the city limits of Mclendon-Chisholm. Mm-hmm. To people who contribute nothing to their fire safety. They pay no taxes on these things.
Right.
We're footing the bill. The county gives us a small stipend to serve those people. But the other thing is, I mean, I know firefighters. In most cities, the firefighters will do the lawn maintenance, not because they want to make indentured servants, but because the nature of firefighters, how they're made up, they like being outside. They like
to be busy.
They like to be busy. They like to play with equipment.
Yes, they do.
You get them a couple of nice riding lawnmowers, and you can get some really nice ones.
They'll be happy.
Oh my gosh! I mean, and they'll be fighting for who can do it. But no. Lorna Kippett says no. This is about we want to keep people safe. Most of the time, you're talking about the fire department is the way they work is they're 1 day on, 2 days off. So you have 3 shifts. And so they're sitting around most of the time.
Well, and she implied that they needed to spend their time training. They're fully trained. That's why they're hired.
That's a great point.
But they also, they have supplemental training and continuous education. They can do that and still do the grounds work. I don't see a problem with that.
You know, unfortunately...
And Chief Simmons said the same thing to me.
Chief Simmons, the fire chief.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm doing most of the talking, and I apologize. I'm going to stop doing all the talking, but because I know that you're not going to go out and attack anyone and criticize. So I wanted to make sure that citizens who are watching understand the whole issues. Let's talk a little bit more. Let's go back to transparency and tell us a little bit about how are you going to be different, and what can we expect to see in a Val Bodart administration?
Definitely transparency.
In how?
We will only have executive sessions when absolutely necessary. And I believe that one of those necessities is if you need to consult with the city attorney. A lot of these issues, I haven't really seen that there's a legal issue to them that could not be answered in the chamber but they still go into executive session.
You know, one of the things that Adrienne Balcom had talked about with me, the Iron Lady of Rockwall County, is that she's frustrated when you're watching online. They have what's called a point tilt zoom camera that basically automatically can focus in on someone, can zoom in on someone at a touch of a button, but they don't, and sometimes you can't even see all the members of council.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a small
knows
thing.
That it can do that. Nobody knows the features that it has.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would really like to.
You want to know? You want to know what's interesting? I hate to keep.
No, you're fine.
But Lisa, Paloma, the city administrator, she actually said, "Hey, do you know how to work this kind of stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And she goes, "Well, do you think you could help?" I said, "I'd be glad to." And I said, "But I don't think Mayor Short's going to go for that." And so I said, I tell you what, if Mayor Short says he welcomes my help on that, I'll do it free of charge. I can get that sucker moving. So that's a little inside baseball, and it's because the mayor doesn't. He has an agenda, and he doesn't care about ensuring that citizens know what's going on.
No, and I listened to the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting last night, and I could barely hear them. And so I want to do a sound and video check before each meeting, learn how to do that. And so we get some quality broadcasting from there, so that if you have to stay home and watch it, you can watch it and you can hear it and understand what's going on. You
know, that leads to a good question about, you know, you're concerned about citizens hearing and what's going on. Well, how do you plan to, you know, involve citizens in your decision-making process for the future plans of Mclendon-Chisholm?
Well, very first of all, I am open to listening to them any way they want to. I mean, call me, text me, make an appointment, come and see me. I'll go see you, whatever it takes. I will listen to your ideas and to your concerns, because that's the only way I'm going to know how to help direct the city in the future, is to know what you want. Mm-hmm.
And so are there ways that you can, I mean, so, you know, it's one thing to say, I'll listen to what citizens say, but oftentimes citizens just don't come out and they call it. The only time citizens will call you is if there's a problem. Mm-hmm. So how are you going to actually get citizens to talk?
Well, I think I need to develop a relationship with them, do more maybe focused town meetings where we can bring us subject, just one subject, and have that be the discussion so that we can hear what they want, hear their opinions on it, give them all the information that they need in order to make an informed decision. Do more on Facebook or YouTube and have people, you know, do that electronically if they're comfortable with it. If not, they can come and visit with me. I have no problem with that. I look forward to it.
So, you know, town halls to me are a waste of time. And I've said this several times, because the only people who show up are those who are active anyway. And you already know what they say, what their opinions are. But the fact that we have the technology to do a town hall, I mean, the one good thing out of COVID is that we're learning how to do virtual meetings. So would you open these kinds of meetings virtually?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the way to go, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. You know, what are some ways that you will affect change? We've already talked about communication, but when we think about development, and one of the biggest issues is the growth. We all know we can't stop growth, but like you said, you want to control that growth. So let's just say someone came to you with a proposal to develop a new development. How would you evaluate that that project?
Well, I'd have to look into what exactly does it entail. How is it going to affect our community? How is it going to affect the growth of our community? Consult with the engineer, consult with the city planner, use our staff for what we need to use them for. And just seriously look into what they want and ask questions. Ask a lot of questions, and ask the community if this is something in the direction that they want to go.
Val, one of the questions that I'm curious about is we are in a city that has a minimum 1.5 acre per home site standard, and yet even we have Sonoma Verde, which doesn't follow that at all. Right. We have another development agreement with Triple Creek Development for 1,876 homes on 1,600 acres, which and only 400. I think only 400 of that is buildable because it's in a floodplain. So how does that happen, and how do you prevent a rogue mayor and city council from running roughshod against the people?
There is an ordinance. There's a 1.5 acre ordinance.
Right, but that ordinance did nothing to prevent those developments from happening. So how do we stop that? How do you? Yeah, I think that's a question on that I have. How exactly do you stop it?
Really, I don't see any other way than just saying no. This is our law. We're not going to change it just so that we can have more of whatever, more houses, more rooftops. To me, that's just basically it. You follow the law. This is our law. This is what was decided.
Right.
You know.
But so I guess, I mean, sorry, I was having a little trouble with it.
You're fine.
So the thing is, you've got to have people in office who are going to stand for.
Absolutely.
And are you going to adhere to these ordinance standards?
Absolutely. That's not even an issue for me. I'm a rule follower. I'm a law follower. I don't even like to speed. So I will follow the laws. And if I even find out that I may have even crossed the line, I will rectify that immediately. I'm not going to be one of those rogue leaders and I can't say I won't let the council, but I will guide the council to not be that way either, to follow the laws and the ordinances that we have written.
What I find fascinating is that most every decision made by the council, there's no discussion, there's no deliberation.
I know.
And so I think that it's all happening behind closed doors in the executive sessions, obviously. So are you going to insist that deliberation occur out in the
exactly
during meetings?
How else will the community know what our city council thinks, how they feel? You can't get that if they're in a different room deliberating things, and who knows what's being said. It needs to be out in the open. That's why they're elected. They're public people now. They need to speak their mind. They need to speak to the issue and explain themselves.
Absolutely. So what you've had a chance to really kind of, you were at the budget meetings. Mayor Short doesn't attend these budget meetings. These all day budget meetings. The mayor doesn't attend, but you have. And you, what are the financial concerns that are affecting our city budget? And are you a fan of paying, all these consultants, all of this money that is being just poured out?
No, we don't need to pay all that money for the consultants. We do need to use the staff that we have. We do need to dig into it ourselves, dig into the budgets and see where the excess is, see how we can lower our debt, see how we can improve on what we have instead of trying to find more money. There's better ways to manage the good amount of money that we do have.
Yeah, at the last city council meeting, or two city council meetings ago, they approved the budget. Lorna Kippett proposed a 2-cent tax rate increase, which the city council approved. That's a matter of record, and so they continue to raise the taxes. They continue to spend money and grow our government. And if elected, what are some steps that you would take to put our city on a firmer financial footing? You mentioned city, debt, like city hall debt, franchise fees, etc.
We need to make sure that the money coming in is exactly the money that should be coming in. Make sure we're getting the right amounts, the franchise fees, all of that. Instead of just taking the numbers that are given to us and taking the money that's given to us, actually look into that and make sure that everyone's being upfront and honest and that we're getting what we deserve to have.
Very good. After obviously the RCH water thing has just risen, raised everyone's concern about about having to, that we had to boil water a while back. So the solution that the city seems to be saying, Dan Tucker, who's running for city council, he's all in favor. It sounds like, according at the last the candidate forum that you attended, that the Mayor Short did not. Again, he is an absent mayor. Dan Tucker said he supported he said it. I don't know if he actually said he supported it, but he said something to the effect that he thought it was a good idea for the city to get into the water business. What is your opinion?
No, we can't afford it. That is not. It would just cost way too much money. We'd have to actually go out and find businesses to come in to bring us more tax money in so we can even buy what we need to have to get into the water business. It's so much trouble that we don't need. Yeah,
it's interesting. I talked with the chairman of the RCH. He came to city council meeting. Jack Pullen, who's former councilman, and Steve Hatfield, former councilman. And they both live in Mclendon-Chisholm, and they're both on the board. And I asked him, I said, if we bought out RCH, where would that money go? And he said, to RCH. I said, no, we buy it out. He goes, no, you're only buying out just the city. The rest of the service area that we service, they're going to be the beneficiaries of that.
Right.
And so basically, Heath did this. They bought out from RCH. And if you live in Heath, you know how expensive water is, because they're still paying off all of that infrastructure. Plus, they had to build infrastructure on top of that. So the cost, when you talk about cost, we're talking real money. We're talking about $1,000 per tap. It's $3 million that we estimate just to buy out the taps. Doesn't include all of the other things that are associated with it. This is a monumental. I mean, if you're a big government liberal who likes big government, of course you're going to go after that.
Yeah, that would be great if that's your mindset, but we don't need to get in over our heads, and that's exactly what would happen.
Well, I'm glad that you're on board with that. This is honestly, I think it's going to be the issue coming up, and so it brings up another issue. We got the census that's about to close out, and we're going to know what exactly our population is, which means that once we hit 5,000 in population, the citizens can choose to become home rule. Are you a fan of home rule, or are you for it or against it, or you know much about it?
I'm still learning about it, but I think we should avoid it as long as possible.
Why?
And I don't even know if I'm educated enough to talk about it that deeply yet, but we are supposed to follow the state laws.
Yes.
And I like that form of running government. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you don't like the idea of us becoming a bigger government, because you obviously have to create. You have to create staff. You have to create. There are certain things that a home rule city has to do, and there's no way that a staff right now. You have one administrator, one city secretary. There's no way. It is impossible to manage that with just those two people. It will be a necessity. Every home rule, every city who has ever done that. What's interesting to me, since you're not familiar, and since you may be our mayor, I hope that you'll take into consideration the cities that there are cities of 20,000 that are still general law type A cities, just like ours.
Yes.
And they do it because they don't like big government. They don't want higher taxes. So I like what you're saying so far. Okay. So I've got the video camera on there. Do you think citizens are aware of issues like we've got a new fire station that's about to be built, a $4 million fire station that is paid for with our taxes, and even though the Mayor Short says this is free money, we don't even have to pay for it, which offends me as a taxpayer. Code enforcement officer, animal control. So do you think people are aware of all these things? And if not, what will you do as mayor to make sure that citizens are kept up to what's happening here in our city?
That's funny because I actually know that there's at least one homeowner in my HOA who did not know about the new fire department, and that surprised me, and I felt bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need to have as much communication with our citizens as possible, and that's what email, e-blasts,
That's good.
newsletters. Our city website needs to be totally revamped. It is, to me, it's unusable. It's not updated enough. It's not current. And I'm not a web developer or anything, but I know a bad website when I see one.
Yeah. I was on council when we did that. And
Was that your format?
Well, I participated in it. I think it works good, but I think the problem with the website is that the content is all gone. They've eliminated information from it, like the citizen surveys that we did. They're gone. Thank you, Lorna Kippett.
Yes.
And Keith Short, Mayor Short. They have taken everything off. That all the things that we did. I remember Adrian Balcom, the Iron Lady, put things on the page about the Sonoma Verde pit, all the questions and answers that people had about the pit, because the number one complaint that the city gets is about the pit.
Yes.
And
it still is.
It still is. And we had a Q&A on the website. Well, that's gone too. Why? Because Adrian Balcom created it. This is a vindictive council currently, mayor and council. And this is a group of people who are, in my opinion, moving our city into a direction from which we cannot turn around if we're not careful. So, you seem fairly quiet and nice. And I've even said that on my show. I've said she seems like a nice lady, and it's funny, we really don't know each other personally, so we only see each other at these political events and stuff. So I know your political leanings and things, but so you've got people who are strong personalities both on the staff and on council. How, as mayor, do you expect to kind of get control as nice as you seem?
What they don't know is...
Are you going to tell me you're not that nice?
I am nice. I am nice when I need to be, but I do have a very strong personality. Ask my family. Ask any one of them. Yes, I know how to get what I need to get. I know how to talk. I know how to get my point across when I need to. When I get riled up and I get going, watch out. I'm sorry, but that's me.
One of the things that I have not been a fan of the Economic Development Committee, but one of the things you said was you were at the candidate forum, which surprised me. You said that you actually liked it, and what you had to say about it, I thought, okay, reasonable answer on that. And so tell me a little bit about what you like about the Economic Development Committee. You were speaking specifically about who's on it and who has been, the members that are on it. Why do you think that they are the right people, or?
We recently had some new additions to it, and I think that those are that the fresh blood, the new blood is really good for it to shake it up, get new ideas in there. And I know that some of them have the same ideas, the same opinions about things that I do.
The new people or the current one?
The newest addition. Some of them do.
Well, there's two new additions.
Two, okay, at least one.
Because one, okay, the reason I cringe when you say that is because one of them happens to be the head of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Oh,
in
no,
Rockwall,
not that new. I mean,
okay, all right.
Not this week.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's that.
No, I don't know them yet.
Okay.
But I do know a little bit. Yeah, no.
You're talking about Jim Herron, Joe. Is it Joe? Who are the members?
Paul Day.
Paul Day. That's what it is. Melody Osorio.
Yes. She's
solid.
She and I get along. Yes.
Yep. She's
solid. There are just some that really want the big business. They want to go out and woo new businesses to come in. They want bigger government, and that's where their mind is. Mm-hmm. But then in the next breath, they talk about wide open spaces.
Yeah,
That's
but you're
what
not
kind of-
referring to Heron or
No.
or Paul or Melody. That's not who
No,
you're
no,
referring
no,
to.
no.
Yeah,
I think that they have a good, clear vision of what most of us want.
yeah. Would you consider going back and doing some a citizen survey again, if mayor?
Absolutely, those are very lacking. I remember filling some out.
Oh, really?
And I
Good.
thought I was very impressed that we actually were asked what we wanted, what we thought about things, and it was there were questions on there I had not even considered. So I love that.
Yeah.
And I think we should do more of that.
Okay. Good. I like to hear that. Well, I want to give you an opportunity to speak directly to the voters, and so using that camera right there, just tell them a little bit about why they should vote for you. I'll let you have the last word.
Okay. I want to be your mayor because I know that even though I seem nice, I can get things done, and I will show up. I will listen to you. I will use the resources that are available to us. I want us to be able to have steady growth, but not in a way that we lose what we have, because we all moved to Mclendon-Chisholm for a reason and certain reasons. And we can enjoy that. We need to be able to enjoy that without being worried that there's a Walmart going up next door or a Dollar General going up across the street, something like that. I am blessed at this time in my life where I don't have to work. So I can be at City Hall. I can have office hours. I'm available. I don't have a career to worry about. This can be my career, however long I'm in office. This will be my passion, and I love the city enough to be able to do that. Awesome, great words, and I appreciate what what you're saying there, because really, I think it's important to note that you're able to do what our current mayor can't and wouldn't, and that is to be at an on-site and an active mayor. So I appreciate you taking time to be with me today. Thank you. It was great.
And so I hope that this has been helpful for you as well. And if you haven't yet, make sure you go vote. There's a lot of time to do it. And remember, this is not a straight ticket vote. You've got to go all the way down the ballot to get to mayor, and that's an important race. So if you care about the future of Mclendon-Chisholm, and if you want to preserve our wide open spaces and more rural lifestyle, however limited it may be, we are still the best deal in town. Our tax rate is still low. If we can control not just growth, but growth in government. And I think Val Bodart, I have no problem, and I'm enthusiastic in my endorsement of Val because of her commitment to preserving these things. And most importantly, I'm especially appreciative of her commitment to transparency and communicating and getting feedback from the citizens. So I hope that you will go vote. I hope that you'll vote for Val Bodart. Brian as well is another excellent. Brian Davis is running for city council. So I hope that you'll go vote. I hope that you'll participate. If you have questions, and please email me, and I'd be glad to answer those. So until next time, we will see you right here at the Bunker Bob Show. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for being with me.